Well, hello again everybody, and welcome back to the garage on this rather wet afternoon, where the name of the game is to try and get this Suzuki Intruder running on both cylinders. The thinking at the moment is that maybe a little bit of dirt from the petrol tank, because there is a little bit of rust in the petrol tank, has got through and jammed the float open in the back carburettor. Now, to get to the back carburettor is not that easy. You can't get to it just through the side of the bike, so the plan is first to take the seat off and see what sort of access that gets us. Now, as always, please remember these videos are not intended as tutorials, they're just vlogs for you to follow along as I try and get this Suzuki Intruder back up and running and on the road for the summer. If you have any doubts about working on your own motorcycle, better to consult a trained and qualified mechanic. That said, let's get this seat off. Now, we have had the seat off before. I think you need to take the side panels off, which are these fixings here, and then somehow you ease that off. And I think there's a nut underneath there which gets you to the seat fixings. Anyway, let's give that a go. Now it's just a matter of undoing these bolts, and then I think the seat should lift off. Well, there's quite a bit going on under there. I can see, I think this is where the diaphragm is for the carburettor, so it could well be that the diaphragm is split, so it might be worth us trying to get that off, but I think to do that we've got to get the petrol tank off. It's probably well worth removing the petrol tank anyway, because I think we're going to have to clean all that out and get rid of all the rust in there. Now, before I start fiddling with the petrol tank, I really want to disconnect the battery just in case, but that's not quite as simple as it sounds on this bike, I think. Now, I believe this connection here is the positive terminal, so disconnecting that won't do a fantastic amount. Now, I'm led to believe the negative terminal is somewhere in there according to the book, but can't really see anything. The battery is in this sort of, it's very difficult to show you, but there's a sort of box underneath which I think should swing down if I can undo some of these bolts. Yeah, I think this chrome cover might have to come off to get to some of them. Anyway, I'm going to disconnect that positive terminal and then probably take this cover off and then see what I can see. Well, that didn't appear to do much. That's just a little cover thing. So I'm thinking, because this is supposed to swing down somehow, I'm thinking I need to undo these bolts, maybe loosen these, and then maybe that'll swing down to give access to the battery. That's my theory at the moment anyway, because the battery, that's the battery in there, isn't it? Maybe it swings down that way. Yeah, because there's bolts here as well. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to undo them first, then I think those, and I think it should swing down that way. Or maybe, no, maybe I'll do the front ones that swing down that way, because that end of the box is open. Either way, everything's getting a good soaking in plus gas first. One of the bolts actually missing this side. Well, yeah, there we go. There is the little flap that hinges down. This is the bottom of the battery, and that's sort of hanging on the wires at the moment. That's far from ideal. Now this is the little terminal they said disconnects the positive, but that was just had a nut threaded into it, so that didn't really do anything. So I guess I can get a little spanner in here and undo the positive terminal. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. Yeah, this seems overly difficult just to get the battery off. These wires here are the remains of a trickle charger connection that Chaz and I disconnected at his house in order to jump start the bike when the battery was flat. Right, I'm going to fiddle about and see if I can disconnect that positive terminal at least. That seems like the easiest one to start on. It's the wrong way round, I know, but that's the only thing I can get to. Now I've got a little spark of that. There's got to be a way to disconnect the negative one first. Right, I think by pushing up on the bottom of the battery I can push it up far enough in the housing that I can just about get an 8mm ring spanner in and undo the negative lead off the terminal, and then we should be able to undo the positive without any sparking. But goodness knows how we'll ever get it back. There's got to be an easier way to do this. If you know, then please drop a link in the comments below. I didn't expect disconnecting the battery to be the thing that stalled me quite so quickly. Anyway, let's crack on and see if I can do that. Maybe that's not 8mm. Let's try a bigger ring spanner. Right, I think it's 10mm, so yeah, wish me luck. Well, it's just too fiddly really. I'm gonna loosen the bolts that hold this on, and then maybe I can get into it a little bit easier. Right, well that's just hanging on the positive wire now. Well, not hanging because I have latched this little flap back up, because obviously you don't want it whole weight of the battery hanging on a wire. So now I think I can go and try and fight the positive terminal off without any risk of shorting it all out. Actually, you know, why would I do that? I've just pulled these negative leads out, so there's no danger of them making contact with the negative terminal of the battery, and I think I'll just leave the positive one on. That's just making life harder than it needs to be. Well, at least the next step looks relatively easy, and that's to disconnect the fuel hose from the fuel tap, and yeah, make sure the fuel tap is off, I guess, before we do that. Now I think we just undo that bolt at the base of the tank and the whole thing should slide off backwards. That's what the manual said. Now that bolt's actually quite loose. Everything I've undone so far has been reasonably easy to do, which makes me wonder if someone has been down this route not too long ago. Now one of the possible suggestions that's been made is that the diaphragm could be split in that back carburetor, and that cover there is the diaphragm cover, I believe. So that's just held on with 4 screws. There's a spring in there, so I'm just going to cautiously take that off and see if I can see anything wrong with the diaphragm. I have to remember that little wire hook goes around there. Well, that all seems in good condition. There's no tears or rips or anything in it, so I think I'm going to put that cover back on to keep it all safe. While I think about what to do next. Well, I think unfortunately that's about all I've got time for today. I put some tape over the end of the fuel hose so that no muck gets in there. I think probably the next thing to do is to check the air filters. Now, I've had a little bit of a look at the book, and even that's not that simple a task. So I think we'll tackle that next time, but yeah, fingers crossed we find something simple to fix.